I just had no control. Like my anger just took
Mm,
over. I saw red. Okay. If this is the case, this is not just, you don't just have to be like this. You can work on this, by the way. I do this
mhm.
all the time, right? EMDR, somatic work, IFS. If you want to know more about those, feel free to contact me. These are different ways to work through the memories in your body that you create a default to so your body doesn't have to live in so much fear. You will still be living in survival, but you won't necessarily be living in fear.
Welcome to Simply 1%, where we believe that small shifts, just 1% shifts, create transformation. Big change doesn't usually happen in one big dramatic moment. It happens in the small intentional adjustments we make over time. Here we approach growth with grace, grace for ourselves and grace for others. Meredith Richards is a licensed marriage and family therapist and communication coach. And I'm Wendolyn Pascal, a life developmental coach and a mentor and teacher of the motivational gifts. If what you hear resonates with you, we would love your support. Follow the show, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs a 1% shift today. All right, let's get into this, simply 1% at a time.
Over the episodes, Wendolyn, you and I have talked about the subject that we're going to discuss today in many different ways. And what has come out of this, the phrase that I'm using now all the time, and it might annoy some, but I'm saying you have options. So if someone's complaining to me, or they're annoyed about something, or like something is going to ruin their day that could seem so small to me, right? But it's really important to them. Still, I'm not minimizing it by saying, well, you have options, kind of like, I don't really care. Like, it's not being dismissive, right? It's not toxic positivity it's just what you talk about, perspective. And it goes a little bit beyond perspective, but I thought that we could talk about this phrase today and what it means. You have options. It has come up so much in my life in the last 2 weeks, and obviously in our whole lives, but the last 2 weeks, now that I have this lens and I keep talking about it and bringing it to my clients' attention, and just with my friends, we've talked about this many times, even to the smallest thing of being on the train and someone's having a very loud conversation on speakerphone. And that can be very, just like, I don't want to hear your conversation,
It's
right?
obnoxious. It's obnoxious. Go ahead. I'll
It's
say it.
obnoxious. Okay.
hmm
And it's like they have no care that it could be obnoxious, like in how other
Yeah.
people around them. You just think of a train setting, it's kind of a quiet setting, right? And people are talking, but even when people talk on the train, typically it's just, we're talking like this. Anyway, perfect example. I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so rude. But that lasts for a few seconds because I'm like, yeah, it's rude. What am I going
hmm
to do? Am I
Yeah.
going to go talk to him and say, sir, this is so rude. You need to stop talking? Am I just going to sit in it and be like, oh my God, this is so, just let it get to me? Can I move to the next car over? Right? And can I just sit there and be like, well, you know, it's just the way that it is. It's going to be a few moments out of my entire life. Like,
hmm
what do I care? And also, it could just be, if their person wasn't on the phone, they could just be sitting next to him and they could be having a very loud conversation. So what's the difference, right?
Yeah.
I
hmm
just think sometimes in our principles, which can be important, we tend to be really rigid with them and they can get in the way. So I've
Mm.
just noticed lately in conversations, like, well, that's a very principled way to look at it, right? Um, doesn't seem like it's really helping you.
Mm.
Principles can be more of a protector than a boundary. And that you just have to learn over time what that is. So that's kind of the language of today. The lens that we want is You have options. What can I do about a situation, a moment in time that could take over the rest of my day and the way that I feel about people and my day and myself? And what options do I have to turn that around? You know, that saying of like, turn your frown upside down, like what can I do? So it's not dismissive. It's not toxic positivity. It's acceptance, not settling. Like we talked about a few podcasts ago, maybe a couple, I don't remember at this point, but this is all building up, all the things we've talked about, it's all building up to this lens of you have options. And you can say this phrase and like, well, you have options. And like, you have options. You do have options. It's just how the tone of how you say these words, it does matter in your message behind it, right? And I would like to say it in the tone of, we have options. Like just simply, matter of fact, still feel the thing. Be upset. If you're upset about something, be upset. Please do not ignore these emotions. Recognize that this is where the pause can come in between reaction and response, right? When we're talking about the options we have, we're talking more about the response. Because typically, if we are in a place of fear, if someone's pulling out in front of us in traffic, that's a place of safety and fear. And our first inclination is to maybe get angry or fierce or intense. And it's like, that's what we do. A lot of us do that. But then when I have a moment, I'm like, okay, I can respond to this. Of my options are, you know what? So I know that I've cut people off in my 30 years of driving. I'm just so thankful that like an accident didn't happen. I hope that person gets to where they're going. I still arrived at work on time. Whatever it is, it's just a conversation that we need to have with ourselves. The pause that we've talked about, right? The matter of factness of life. And I think that that's kind of what this is. It's like, let's just be matter of fact. It doesn't have to be anything else but that. Like just logical, pragmatic, all those things. So what do you think about all this that I'm saying? I know you've heard me talk about this a lot, right?
Yeah. And I don't think it's dismissive at all, because I think in the moment when a situation happens, a reaction is what we normally go to, right? Our body kind of reacts to something, whether it be defensiveness, whatever it is. And it can hijack our whole day. It can hijack the next 4 hours, whatever. When you say we have options or you have options or what are your options, right? Delivery is everything, not well, you have options. That's Meredith is saying your delivery and reminding a loved one, a friend, an acquaintance that there are options. It's all about delivery. That is such a good reminder, because when I'm heightened, and this is the thing, you have to pregame before you go into life. You have to say, okay, next time I'm in a situation where I want to react, maybe I can remember to say, wait, I have options. When you pregame yourself that way and saying, so I don't have to react, I do have options. Wait a minute. That is huge, because you're going into the situation prepared. Just every day. You're going into the wild prepared to face obnoxious people or bad situations, whatever. And I think saying you have options, a lot of us, unless we say that to ourselves, our only option is reaction. That's it. I'm just going to react. I'm not going to respond. I'm not going to take a time to say, okay, what do I need to do in this situation? Like you were saying, someone cuts you off in traffic. I've done that. Please, people are probably angry more with me than anything. Like I'm the one, right? So,
yeah.
And we're finding ourselves having to do this. And like I know with Joe the other day, I was with my son and we were walking on the side in our neighborhood, and this car comes whizzing down and he's getting so angry, this kid that's in our neighborhood. And he's like throwing his hands up that Charlie and I are on the side of the road, like telling us to get out of the way. And of course, I want to throat punch him, because I'm like, I'm going to go to your house and I'm going to give you a swift kick in the penis,
Yep.
like my daughter would say back in the day. And I was like, oh my goodness. So my husband, so I yell at the guy. I do. My reaction, I was like, what are you freaking doing? I didn't cuss. I said freak, just so you know. I was like, what are you freaking doing? I yelled at him because my son's there. And when my son's there, then I become protective. Mama bear comes out and I'll rip your freaking throat out. So what happened, my husband comes out. He's like, what's going on? And I told him, I literally could see my husband's body transform into, so I'm going to murder him. It's what's going to happen. I'm going to murder this guy for reacting this way to my wife.
Mm-hmm.
Joe turns around and I'm like, Charlie's talking about it. And my husband turns around and looks at us and says, I need you guys not to talk about this because I'm doing everything in my power not to walk over to that house and punch that kid in the face. So I need y'all to not talk about it for a second. What was he doing? Weighing his options. What are my options? And that's what he did. And he has to, especially when you're a big old Viking guy like my husband who could kill someone with one punch. You got to weigh your options. You can't go around punching people. So when you can insult him, but when it comes to his family, he's like, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to cut, right? So I'm ready to punch. It's true. So he had to weigh his options. And so we had to stop talking about it because it was just going to fuel his decision just to react. And then he comes to me and says, okay, I'm feeling better. I have told myself that he probably had to poop. And that's why he was doing what he was doing and getting angry. He had to fly home, like rush home so he could poo. He was about to poo his pants.
I mean, we've been there. So.
Exactly. Joe goes, we've all been there. I know what it's like. And I'm just going to give him the benefit of the doubt. And I said, well, that's great. He goes, because that's keeping me from injuring this person. And injure him he would, because the kid is about 100 pounds soaking wet. I mean, he's like in his 20s. And Joe would murder him. So I'm like, I'm glad that Joe took a moment and even said to us, we can't talk about this right now. Mm-hmm. Give me a second.
Right.
He had to get himself together. You can't go around punching. I mean, Carmen can, my mom, but we can't. We live by different rules than my mother. So that's what Joe did.
We're not a Carmen society. We are definitely not a Carmen.
Thank God. So we'd be Lord of the Flies if that was the case. So that was his thing.
Is this the kid who parked his car at the...
Same one. And let me tell you, that was just, it was building on Joe. It was building. He's like this kid. And he's not a kid. I'm saying a kid because he's something.
He's young. It doesn't matter.
And what doesn't help is that there's a sense of entitlement with him, which Joe cannot stand. So that just added to it. So Joe had to say, I need everyone to stop talking because I need to take a moment and calm myself down, my nervous system down. I need to keep myself from punching. And that is what he did.
Yes. And what a great message for Charlie. It's something to see, right? So the strongest part is that we're not denying a reaction. Mm-hmm. We're widening the response of what we're widening the response of our options after the reaction.
Yeah.
When we talk about trauma, when we talk about just difficult moments in our lives where it's like, oh man, I'm really sorry that you had to go through that. Not everything is a trauma. We know this, but just from this perspective, the reason why people can move through a jarring experience, an activating experience, is how someone responds to the experience that person is having.
Yeah.
Right? So, God forbid something did happen to your child, right? I'm going to feel a certain way. I'm not going to be happy at that person. I'm going to want to throat punch. I'm going to want to do a lot of other things, right? I need to be angry. I need to feel all of those things that I'm feeling. I do not deny it, right? Within reason. We all know this. Like, we're talking about all of this within reason. And then afterwards, when I have worked that through, like your husband, have to work this through, just let it go through me, get to my reasonable brain, I now have options. There are things that I can do. My nervous system is always going to react before the logical brain catches up sometimes, right? Like I shouldn't say sometimes and always. Let me say that again. The nervous system reacts before the logical brain catches up sometimes. And it needs to, because that's what keeps us safe. Having that our bodies react to something of fear, it keeps us safe. Our one job is survival.
Mm-hmm.
So when we
Yeah.
talk about the fight or flight, how we talk about freeze, the bodily response to something that doesn't feel right, that's uncomfortable, an unfortunate activation that we're experiencing because of experiences before this time, right? Can you imagine if something did happen to you, let's say, where a car was flying down the road and something happened to you when you were 10, right?
Mm-hmm.
And thank God you're still here. But it was obviously that's going to be a traumatic experience, no matter what it is. It's going to be something that reminds you of that, right? What? Why are you?
Yeah.
Why are you looking
I
at me like
mean,
that?
Meredith, you're saying this, but I think you filed away. You're hitting on something, right? The reason I got
What?
so angry and I responded, I mean, when I was, 5 years old, I was holding on to my grandfather's hand and he got hit
That's
by a truck and he killed him. My best friend, when I was like 6 or 7, I was keeping her away from the road. She ran and got hit by a car, was in the hospital for months. I was never able to speak to her again. So I do have those things related to that where I saw these things. My grandfather let go of my hand just in time. So,
mm,
aphantasia again for the win, that I don't see these things replaying in my head. But I
mm,
do have those fears when it comes to cars going fast by me, especially in a neighborhood. And with my kid,
mm.
I will straight up, how I am with my children. So this has taken years for
Yeah,
me. The fact that I didn't even, I mean, I could have literally just gone around the corner to his house and went ballistic. It's
yeah.
taken years for me to retrain myself and
Mm,
saying, okay, because there's consequences to my actions. And I had to say,
yes,
okay,
yes.
and that's, so yeah, it's exactly what you're saying.
That's probably why I said that. I now when you said that, I'm like, yeah, I remember that part of your
Yeah.
story. You
Yeah.
know how
So
my
like you're,
memory is these days, though.
yeah, I
Um,
saw as soon as I said it, you were like, oh yeah, it came up. Yeah.
I'm
But
like,
that's exactly, yeah.
so, which is a perfect example of for you with aphantasia, memories are in our bodies.
Yes. Yes.
They're not up
Mm-hmm.
here. They're in our bodies.
Mm-hmm.
And our brain has done the work over time to tell us what to think of them in order to protect us. It's not bad. It's not like it's just sometimes we have to relearn that not
Yeah.
everybody is going to hurt us when they're driving close to us, right? Like not everyone is going to be taken from me, unfortunately, like my grandfather or my friend. Those are two very tragic stories, Wendolyn, that
Mm-hmm.
why wouldn't you respond in the way that you did?
Yeah.
Any of us, right? And even if we hadn't had those experiences, I'm sure that we would still respond in some way, but the level that we do is going to be different for all of us because of the memories in our bodies.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So the stronger framing of this is not necessarily choose your feelings.
Mm.
It's you may, over time, like you were just talking about, may not choose the first reaction
Yeah.
because you have desensitized it within your body. You've reprocessed that memory. You've made sense of it to create a default within yourself of, okay, that this isn't the same thing as then. I do have ways
Yeah.
that I can keep my son safe and myself safe. In fact, I'm going to be even more hyper aware because of that experience that I had. So the chances of this happening again, right? You're doing everything that you can do.
Mm-hmm.
And, as Paul Richards says, though, You cannot be more careful about the people around you because they're going to do stupid things. So always look for
Right.
those things, you know?
But
It's
you,
like,
Meredith, you said something just now. You said
mhm,
you learn not to choose your first reaction. And that's exactly what I've done in my life is I'm
yeah.
choosing, and maybe my first reaction is correct sometimes, but I have to then choose that. So I have to
Mhm.
go, okay, so my first reaction is to go to this guy's house and straight up terminate him. Like, that's it. Like, I'm done. The carbon in me is coming out. He's out. I don't have to worry about this kid anymore. Who's really going
Yeah.
to miss him? That's my thinking, right? Like, I'm
Mhm.
getting like mafia thinking, like thoughts. I'm like, this is good. I'm good. Like, so that's my
Yeah.
first reaction is to go to his house. And I just picture like me attacking him and looking like a Fraggle Rock, like hair everywhere, going nuts, right? That's that, like, I'm seriously thinking that. And the thing is with Joe and I, we've realized we both have a tendency to be so protective, very much guardians with our children,
Mhm.
that we have a tendency to want to cut, want to fight, want to punch.
Mhm.
So like we're like, okay, we're
Yeah.
ready to go. But we
Yes.
know that's not okay. It's, and
Mhm.
especially I don't want my child growing up going, yeah, my mom beat the crap out of a kid who was 100 pounds soaking wet.
You're going to have your reaction, right? But don't choose your first necessarily feeling of that reaction. I think the biggest part of this in the place that we gain confidence and pride in how we do react or respond to these situations is we have control and we have influence of what happens next. Because a lot
Mm-hmm.
of times in anger, we were like, I just had no control. Like my anger just took over. I saw red. Okay. If this is the case, this is not just, you don't just have to be like this. You can work on this, by the way. I do this
Mm-hmm.
all the time, right? EMDR, somatic work, IFS. If you want to know more about those, feel free to contact me. These are different ways to work through the memories in your body that you create a default to so your body doesn't have to live in so much fear. You will still be living in survival, but you won't necessarily be living in fear. And that's something I can talk about another time. But look into some of these different ways of doing therapy if you are in therapy. Because talk therapy is not always going to get you there to this response. Like Wendolyn
Mm-hmm.
was talking about, over time, you've had to have conversations with yourself. You've had to learn how to trust yourself, recognize however you've worked through it. You've established a new story with those really sad moments that you've had in your life. And not just with that, but other things too, Wendolyn. Like you and I have had these moments that could really have turned our lives in a whole different direction, but we've decided, right, to respond to them. Maybe not at the time, but over time, right? Like I'm going to respond to this differently because this is the type of life that I want to have, the one that we're having right now. I don't want to be a
Mm-hmm.
victim, right? I can.
Yeah.
So how do we get there? Let's just look at like the four steps to this. It's very simple. Let's just keep it simple. You're going to respond or react however you do. First thing, acknowledge what happened. Be real about it. Just like you said, I was angry. This is what happened with the car, and I want to go over there and I want to do this. It was not okay. Yada, yada. Okay. I'm acknowledging what happened, saying that I didn't like it, feeling the way that I do. The second thing you're going to do, though, is you're going to acknowledge your nervous system. Okay. Like my heart is pumping, right? Or like I'm gritting my teeth, or my hands are like this. I think you and I both do this sometimes, like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I'm tight. I'm like in this thing of like, why do we get tight? It's because we're trying to make all of this just really small. We're trying to not lose our, you know, what. So, mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's not even like anger with anybody else, it's anger with myself, like ourselves. We're very hard on ourselves. So like even with that, right, when I'm acknowledging what happened, like you just dropped something on the floor, Meredith, like this is ridiculous, but that's my response all the time. Like I hate dropping things on the floor. See, I'm just doing
Mm-hmm.
that, like
Yeah.
what is that? That's frustration and anger. So I have to acknowledge my nervous system response. Why do I do that? Because that's the place of activation and where I'm experiencing it. So what do I have to do to that nervous system response? I say something like Joe did. I can't think about it right now. I can't hear you guys talk about it right now. Like it's just escalating and activating me more. What do I have to do for myself to bring it down to a pause? Right? Is it going for a walk? Is it breathing, listening to music, taking a bath, being on my phone, watching a show, playing basketball, talking to a friend? I mean, we have options.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is where the pregame comes in, Wendolyn, before this second step. This is what we talk about in therapy, coping skills. I do this because I'm like, I like to think of them in different ways, but I'm just going to use that because that's how we talk about it in the world. What are our coping skills? What do we have set up in our pregame and our pre-gaming thoughts to respond to our nervous system? So we're responsible for that. Nobody else has control over that. For example, I have a soapbox today. I think when we talk about like a hill you're going to die on. Is this one of those things? Is this like my hill? Like I am passionate about this. Like I'm just going to go off on a little bit of a tangent here. This perimenopause thing, this midlife shit. Okay. I'm done with it, but we can't be done with it. Sorry guys. I look at this. Look at my somatic reaction right now. I am like, I want to squeeze it. I want to, I'm done. I haven't slept for the last 3 nights. I'm over it. It. Wendolyn, do you remember the story that I told you when I was walking in Lisbon on the tiny, tiny sidewalks? And these kids in front of me were being so obnoxious and to the people in front of them. And then they turned around to me and they were being just obnoxious. They're so drunk. And the first thing that I wanted to do was just to push them into traffic.
Sure, of course, yeah. Throat punch, push into traffic.
Look how violent we are. Have we ever would I ever do that? Do I ever want to hurt anybody? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It is crazy that this comes into your mind. But thank God I know that is not right.
Yeah. Anger. You just get angry. You're angry.
I don't know. I don't fully understand all of this yet, but however the hormones and all of that goes together, even if you're not in this stage of life, everybody, we have stress, we have lack of sleep. If you didn't eat, if you're not taking care of yourself, you are more likely to have a bigger reaction.
Yeah. You're more likely to pull a Dexter. I'm like, they're obnoxious. Let me do the world a favor. Let me help the world out. You want to talk loud on a train? Call me Dex. Like, I get it, especially during perimenopause. I'm like, oh, I will be doing the world a fave. Come on. We have the Yeah, we're regular people. I mean, come on. Like these are normal reactions, like anger. We're just
I've never been an angry person.
I have, so I can't say that.
I know you got it in you. I don't think that I really have been an angry person. I don't think that that's ever. I don't know. Have you?
I mean, I've seen you angry. I've seen you irritated. I've seen you very irritated. Yeah, irritable. But but not like an angry person. Like me, I feel like I was as a kid, you know, and then I found my faith and it changed me little by little. But let me tell you something. Beforehand, I'd have pushed them kids in traffic. Before I found the Lord, I'd have been pushing them into traffic and running down the next alley and being like, I don't know what happened.
But look,
so we all have the Dexter moments. Yes,
we do, and also look at how you were raised and how to handle conflict.
Yeah,
I mean, honestly, So there's a lot that goes into this. So acknowledge what happened. Acknowledge the nervous system response. Probably very normal I can think these things, but I have to maybe not follow through on pushing somebody into traffic because
Maybe.
there are a lot of things that are wrong with that.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I don't have to name them. Everybody knows. I like my
Mm-hmm.
life. I love the freedom that I have. I would never, ever, ever want to be the reason for somebody's
No.
pain. Mm-mm.
No.
Um,
But in that
so
moment, you're not thinking like that. So that's a great thing to point out. It's saying in that moment, you're like, I could just do the world a favor. Yeah, go ahead. I hear you.
and so I decided not to because, I in the third step of this, I widen my interpretation. I realize where I am in my life. This may not have bothered me 2 hours ago, 5 days ago, 5 months ago. It does now because I know where I am today.
Yeah.
I have a more heightened sense of irritability. I just don't have patience for the drunk, like 20-year-olds. Sometimes I don't care. Like I'll join them. But today, that day was not the day. That day was not the day.
Yeah.
So I realized, okay, I think I remember I took a deep breath and then I saw a kebab shop
Oh.
and I went into the shop and I was like, maybe I'm hungry too. Like, I don't know, but I took a little detour into that and I'm like, okay, is this something that I want? Am I hungry? No, I really wasn't. So I just was like, okay, I just needed a moment. And then I decided to get off of this tiny sidewalk because it was also very busy and loud and sensory overload. I'm like, today's just not the day for this, Meredith. So stop pushing it. Stop pushing it. The thing that you wanted to do or your friends wanted you to do, it's just not for today. Not for today. So I had to pivot. This is so weird talking about this because you know how my memory is, but I guess I have like such a visceral reaction to this, and I just felt so bad that was my first reaction and thought. Like, what?
Yeah.
I love people. I love people. Like doesn't matter. I love watching people. I can accept a lot of things, and there's the word acceptance, right? Accepting that people make the decisions they do because of the stories that they have, because they're in maybe some survival mode as well, right? So acknowledge what happened, acknowledge the nervous system response, widen our interpretations, different reasons why these kids could have been having fun. They don't really know what they're saying. They're not going to remember it. Not necessarily like this is not a time to teach right or wrong or like to get like, I don't know these people. They're, you know what I mean? Like what, they're not my children. I'm not trying to teach a lesson here. So I have to widen my interpretation of the scenario. And maybe the person that they were bothering, that person wasn't really bothered by it. So, okay, move on. Like, what are my options? And then comes the next step. Choose what gets my attention for the rest of the day.
I like that. Yeah.
What's my choice here? Am I going to go back to everybody that I know and I'm going to talk about this story? Like, can you believe these kids? I could, and maybe I did. I think I told the story to a few people, but I didn't really focus on the kids. I focused on myself. I was like, I cannot believe that I got to that point. And I was sort of laughing at it at later on because I'm like, well, this is just now I have to really pay attention to this. Like you can get to this level, but choose what keeps your attention. I am safe. I didn't go to the kid's house and make a fool of myself. I taught my child that there is a way to feel and to react, but then there's also a better way to respond. People need to be responsible for their own actions and feel bad about the things that they've done. And if they don't, it's not always my job to tell them. And when you have the gift of discernment, if you are the perceiver, for us, we really have to rein it in. You got to hone it in, right?
Yeah,
So,
you do. Go back to that episode and listen to the Perceiver if you want to know what we're talking about. We did a series on it.
mhm.
And it's
I
true.
think
That's usually where things really bother me. If it's about, aside
justice.
from protecting my kids, it's when I feel like there's an injustice.
Mm,
That's when, but I like what you said in those moments. If you just need a word and when you're about to react to something, I love what you said. Where's a detour? Where can I go? What can I do?
mhm, mhm.
You took the detour to the kebab shop, which is a great detour. I
Detour
mean,
to the kebab shop.
well done.
That's going to be
Well
the title
done.
of this episode. Yep. Everyone's
And
gonna be
so
like,
take a detour because I
mhm,
know when I have in the past had to take a detour because I
mhm,
knew my reaction was not going to be very good. I mean, it was always places of comfort. Joe and I watching Survivor last night, and there was a moment in Survivor where they do the auction where they get food and they can buy food and all this stuff. Anyway, if you guys are Survivor fans, you know. And the one girl spent, I don't know, $60 on a bowl of mac and cheese.
wow.
And she took a bite of it, and it took her back to being home with her children because of the mac and
Mm,
cheese. And she had
mm,
such a response to it. And she made
mm,
this comment of like, it's hard to be here when I have a full cup at home.
mm.
And when I think about that, I also thought it's really hard to stay in places of frustration and anger and all of these things when you have a full cup somewhere that you can go to. When you
Mm.
have a full cup somewhere, it's hard to stay in that place because when you go to the full cup, gratitude starts coming in and you start
Yeah.
seeing the things that you're so thankful for, and it does take you out of that.
Mm,
So one of those detours, if you don't have a detour that has a full cup somewhere,
mm,
that is something that you really need to look at in your life. When she said that, it's hard to be here when I have a full cup at home.
mm.
It is hard to
Yeah.
stay in frustration when you go to your full cup. It's really hard.
And you know what it does come back to is she was also having this moment where she was pausing because like with food, you can, if you really take time with food, it is a time for pause and like
Hmm.
appreciation. And like she said, she
Yeah.
had a memory attached to this, and there's
Hmm.
like, I get to eat this thing, right? This is my
Yeah.
favorite food. There's so many things revolved around that. And she paused
Yeah.
and really paid attention to how it made her feel, and that
Yeah.
reflection filled
Yeah.
her, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
All right, quick pause before we keep going. If you're enjoying this conversation, we want to ask you for a small favor. Go ahead and follow the podcast and leave us a review. Those reviews actually tell us that these conversations are reaching and helping people. And that matters to us because doing this takes time out of our day, our week, and sometimes it takes our sanity. So if something you've heard here has helped you think differently, have a better conversation, or even just feel a little less crazy in your life, take 10 seconds and leave us a review. It helps the show grow and lets us know that it's worth continuing. Plus, Meredith says leaving a review is a healthy relational behavior, and I'm pretty sure therapists know things. And honestly, it's a nice way to say keep going without having to send us baked goods, although we accept those too. All right, now back to the conversation before we get off track, which is completely typical of us.
Over time, the more you react and then respond in a way that you would like to, you gain confidence in that. And you are rewiring your brain and body to feel safe and that you are in control, Like, and sometimes it takes other people that we trust to help us move through that.
Hmm.
That is why you have to choose the partner for you, the friends that you that are at your table, the people that are at your table. the community that surrounds you. And let's go into the job space for a moment. You know, I like talking about this because we all have them. So there's so much that we cannot control, even if you work for yourself. There's so much that you can't control. Yeah, we have a little bit more control when you do work for yourself, like who you hire and everything. But sometimes you hire someone, you're like, wow, they worked really well for 5 years. And then that 5th year, I don't even know why I had them around,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
it's, you can't always, so in the workspace, because it's so many different dynamics of personalities, and they're not your family, they're not people that you need to have around, right? That you need to have these relationships with. And it's such a fine line all the time of professionalism and personal, or professional and personal. So that's why it can sort of get gray or muddled for us sometimes when it comes to this reaction and response of, oh my gosh, that is so stupid. Why are they asking us to do this in 12 steps when it can be done in 2 steps? Like, and today's not the day. I haven't slept. I haven't eaten. I don't know the last time that I drank water. I'm really stressed. My kid's sick. You know, every day is going to be different. All of those dynamics are different. So having somebody in your workspace, like they say, like the work bestie or like work wife or work spouse or whatever, it is important. It is important to have that person, because that's where you go without judgment, and someone just joins you and they're like, yeah, yeah, I cannot believe she did that. You know what she's like, And I'm not talking about gossip. I'm talking about someone joining with you, knowing who you are. And it's not like you're trying to be mean about a person. It's like something really ticked you off and you can go to that person, just get it out.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then maybe that person will let you get it out. And then they're going to tell you the truth. Well, Meredith, they really were not being how they usually are. They were really trying to help you. And I think it's probably just what you expected out of them, and you really have not been having a great week. But
Yeah.
You're right. They suck. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
there's a balance there.
Yeah. I mean, and just so you know, if you're in blue collar, this is probably the friend that you call fatty or some other horrible nickname. My husband has
Lonnie,
work wives. They're all
Butters.
dudes, right?
Yeah.
My husband is an aircraft mechanic, so like they're all mean to each other. But I'm gonna tell you, they have each other's backs too. So
Yes.
if you're calling someone a horrible nickname that is completely insulting, that's the person you go to in blue collar, just so you know. But anyway,
so true.
The thing,
but it's
my
so
husband tells me
true.
the nicknames. I'm like, you guys call each other? He's like, yeah. There's some I won't repeat. I won't utter just because they're so horrible. But they all call each other this. But you know what? They're the ones they go to when, all the S has hit the fan. The thing is, when you're talking about workplace too, and you're bringing this all together, I remember one time, and I think about the word control, and you said that, control. Sometimes it's not even something that someone did to us. It's because we can't control a situation. We can't manipulate a situation in the way that we want it to be. And I think about, I had a mentor one time tell me, sometimes you just have to tell yourself, I reacted in a really bad way, or I'm angry or whatever, because I'm just not getting my way. It's not even that someone did something against me. I'm just not getting my way. And so that still requires for you to say, I have options.
I feel that. I really feel that. Because I think this can be coupled with right or wrong. How many times do we work with people and couples, right? And it's like, would you rather be right or healthy? Would you rather be right or happy?
Yeah.
You can't be right all the time. It's just not, it's math.
No.
It's simple math. It's probability. You're just not going to be right all the time. It's just common sense. So
Yeah.
if you are one of those people out there who thinks that you're right all the time, you're not.
Oh,
Just PSA, you
oh,
know?
we're probably not friends. Yeah, no, that's true. Probably not friends.
And let's just face it, like there's a reason why you feel like you need to be right all the time, and that's something you need to check in
Yeah.
about. And I think we could do a podcast on that soon, Wendolyn.
Yeah. You need to be okay with not having your way. It's okay that it's not going
Yeah.
your way. You
And-
have to be okay with that.
And you might be right. You may be right, and it might be your principled thing, and
Yep.
it may be the best way to do something. And sometimes you just got to be like, well, did it get did it get done? Did it get done? Are we all
Yeah.
safe?
Mhm.
And everyone's happy? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And did it keep us away from conflict and 3 days without talking to one another? Yeah,
Yeah.
it worked out. Pull yourself back. That needs to be your pause sometimes. Sometimes you might need to be like hand over mouth. Like
Yeah.
that could be a somatic reaction when you do step number 2, when you're doing your little scan, and you're like, don't say it, you know?
Yeah.
There are so many things that we can do to still recognize what our body has gone through, the beliefs that we have, and then again, the options that we have, right?
Yeah.
It can go so many different ways. How would you like it to end up? You know? Would you like to be proud of the fact that I took control of that situation. I turned that right around. Go me. You have to recognize and evaluate how you're moving through life when you're trying to change something, right? So like the frequency in which I would react and the severity in which I would react is not at the same level. So I'm not here. Now I'm here. Am I still reacting to something that bothers me and maybe will always bother me? Yes. But now I'm reacting at this level, not here. So
Yeah.
let's be realistic, folks, because some of us really just have those things. They're just like, you know, and it's okay. It's okay. But deal with it in your own way, because it's about you. It's about your own activation, wherever that comes from. The other thing I was thinking about, Wendolyn, and we hear this all the time, it's like, you made me feel this way. I cannot believe that you make me so mad. You made me feel this way, whatever this way is. Now, this is one of those things where I will say, I'm not talking about abuse. With abuse, people want you to feel a certain way. They want to have power over you. It is their agenda to hurt you. This is not that. No one can make you feel a certain way. It's your activation. It's the way your body is responding to the situation. You feel a certain way after someone may have given you a flippant response because you experienced these flippant responses for so long and they were never taken care of as a child. You just had to eat it, right? But if I give you a flippant response and my irritation, and you know my heart, you know who I am, and you can give me some grace with that, imagine how you would really feel. Yeah, I felt this certain way by your reaction or your response, Meredith. And I know that I also have responsibility to how I want to respond to that. I have options. I can let you go, right? I can give you grace. I can find some sense of humor in this. Like, what are you doing? Like, is someone hangry? You know what I mean? Like, we have options in how we respond. But how many times, I mean, okay, so with your kids though, you must hear this with your kids. Like, you know, Charlie did this to me, Layla did this to me. Like they hurt you, but they have they have options, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Hmm.
I don't know, can you think of an example? This happens all the time, so that's why.
Oh, all the time. I want them to take personal responsibility for, you can feel the way that you're going to feel. Listen, but I also think there's a moment and a time for grace. So even if it's that you just didn't get your way and it pissed you off, or some kids are walking down the street and they're insulting people, or the kids driving down the street too fast and getting pissed off, and whatever it is, I'm still responsible for me. So,
Yes.
and in that
Yes.
process, I still need to be gracious. Like, I think about those children. That would piss me off too, Meredith, like walking down the street being drunk and being rude to people.
Oh.
And then I do take a moment, and it's kind of like the car situation. I have to go, I'm sure in my life there was a time where people saw me and thought she's being disrespectful, even if that wasn't my intention.
Mm-hmm.
So, can I offer some grace here? Was grace given to me?
Mm-hmm.
So, was somebody stepping back and detouring so they didn't hurt me in the process of their irritation,
Mm-hmm.
their anger? Teaching that to children is hard. I would say teaching it to children is wiring them in a certain way to grow up, to then respond in a way that is honorable. With
Mm-hmm.
adults, we're talking about people who've already lived their lives responding a certain way because it could be trauma. Not everybody has trauma. We've talked about this. Everybody wants trauma. Not everyone's had trauma. So you could have gone through trauma, just experiences, just what you've learned behavior, what your parents
Mm-hmm.
taught you, all these
Mm-hmm.
things, right? Oh, yeah, my mom went to some kid's house and beat him up for driving fast and on the road or whatever. As adults, we've learned what serves us, even if it's toxic, even if it's bad, even if it never gets a good
Mm-hmm.
ending, right?
Yeah.
We've done things to serve ourselves. So at times it's just easier to teach children because we're teaching them from the time we've planted to the time we harvest. We are teaching them, and as adults, we've already had those seeds planted. We've already
Mm-hmm.
cultivated it, and we're
Right.
harvesting things that aren't good. And so now we've got to relearn.
There's so many things that came up when you were talking about this. And again, it comes to the response. So my reaction, let's just say it is anger. And I'm so angry, and I feel like I have to use something outside of myself, a vice, in order to feel nothing, in order to feel happy, in order to move on to the next thing. So what are those vices that we're using? Food, alcohol, drugs, sex, exercise. I mean, working all the time. Like, there's a lot of things that we use as a response to a reaction. We have to be careful about that. That's all I'm going to say about it, because oftentimes we will choose one of those. We choose the low-hanging fruit oftentimes. So
Yeah.
that's why when you were talking about pre-gaming, we need to have something. I would say this, on your hand, like, we need to have 5 things that you pregame. You're like, because I know myself well, I'm going to feel a certain way, right?
Yeah.
I think it's even in AA, and they talk about, like, am I hungry? There's something very, like, have I met my basic needs?
My basic
That's
needs.
just
Yeah.
you can scan that very easily. And if you have a partner, or even with your children, right? Like, I think you're just hangry. Like, yeah, you're probably right. you know, I understand, like, it's been a rough week, right? Like,
Yeah.
totally get it. So anyway, that's one of the things that I was thinking of, because how you teach your children to work through those those frustrations that are so big to them. It starts then, in how we teach them to work through it on their own, and we give them opportunity to see what works for them.
Mhm.
We give them opportunity to see what works for them. Playing a sport, going outside with the basketball, doing your video games, writing your friend, doing a comic with your friend, doing a podcast with your father, doing art all day long, you know? Like playing with the animals. You're teaching your children all of these things, Wendolyn. You're giving them lots of opportunity to figure it out with themselves and how they regulate. And if we weren't not given that opportunity from a young age, sometimes we start establishing that as an adult, which we can
Mhm.
feel really childlike and vulnerable. You
Yeah.
know what? Okay, you have options. Just do it now. Now you
Yeah.
have money to really do whatever you want, right? So, like, have fun with it. And not too much fun. Amazon boxes arriving every day. Some of us need to check that. Um, I've been hearing a lot about that lately in the couple sessions, so that's why that came to my mind. But I just kind of want to bring this together, Wendolyn, because I know we've said a lot today, and just create sort of a frame around this. We all have had these moments, and maybe you've had one today. The moment that has happened recently, how did it hijack the rest of your day? Maybe it still has power over you right now. Someone cuts you off in traffic, a weird text, someone not responding to a text, a rude comment, an inconvenience. Suddenly your nervous system acts as if the whole day is ruined and you got to do something about it. And the way that you decide to deal with it is just continue to sit in it,
Mhm. Yeah.
and you can't allow yourself to function. That's where the compartmentalizing comes in. If you have something that you need to do, if you have children, if you have a spouse that you need to pay attention to, if you have to get to work, if you got to compartmentalize that. You don't have to ignore
Mhm.
it, but you have to be like, I'm going to deal with that later, and I have to recognize that I might be a little bit on edge, but that's not something that's going to take over my day. What
Yeah.
could I do then? I could have options in how I can think about that, right?
Yeah.
Here's the thing. The event happened. I felt a certain way. But the replay of this keeps happening because we choose to carry it.
Mhm.
We are
Yeah.
choosing to just carry it somewhere. And you don't need to. Because why?
We have options.
We have options. And that just, see, I just, even that makes me take a breath. Like, we have options, you know?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that
Yeah.
you're ignoring what happens or it's fake positivity. Like, we know how we feel about that. And like, can we just all be happy? Just like, let's think about happy thoughts. Just like the yellow character, Joy, in Inside Out. She saw, I don't even, if it's Bing Bong or, you know, the elephant, the imaginary character. I think it's something along those lines, right? But this imaginary character is so sad. It realizes this is the last time they're going to have they're going to see someone who's so important to them. And Joy tries to cheer this character up and like dancing around and, you know, all excited and like, it's okay. Everything's going to be all right. We can do this and this and this. Hey, look over here. Meanwhile, Blue recognizes the situation and just goes over and sits right next to I think it's an imaginary friend, sits next to them and says, "You're really sad, huh?" "Yeah, I'm sorry." Just joins this character in the place where they are. And that needs to be one of those people on Phone a Friend. We have to have a Phone a Friend when we get to these heightened reaction states. Sometimes we just need that. We need
Yeah.
a Blue. We don't need a
Mhm.
Joy. I just think that one of the 5 things that we talked about might need to be the Phone a Friend, you know, unlike Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Like, that's what I think. Like,
Mhm.
you have these options. maybe this is a time to phone a friend. Let somebody
Yeah.
join you in your frustration. Get it out. I don't need to solve your problem. I'm not solving a problem. I'm just listening. Your first reaction is human.
Hmm.
This is what Simply
Yeah.
1% is about. You're like,
Absolutely.
we're human. We're going to do
Hmm.
these things.
Yeah.
But like, what's the simplicity of it? Is it a thought of like, that scared me? And I'm so glad everyone is okay.
Yeah.
I've made
Yeah.
mistakes driving too.
Hmm.
You know what? I'm not going to let this steal my joy today. And in fact, I'm going to remind myself that the human race can be good. And I'm going to
Yeah.
look for those moments today of people who are good and kind and share a smile, right? Like, recognize when you are allowing a small moment to ruin your day.
Yeah.
Recognize the story that you're telling yourself. We may say sometimes we don't have control over that. Most of the time you do. You just don't like your options. One of my options could be I have to learn how to accept this. And
Hmm.
if you want to know what the difference between acceptance and settling is, listen to that podcast on it so that you understand the difference in that.
Yeah.
But if we can, guys, like, let's really prepare for those times that we know a moment can hijack our day. And we're
Hmm.
just not willing to let that happen anymore.
1% today, Meredith. I think there's so many here.
Mm-hmm.
So many. And maybe one for somebody could be just being aware of, where is my full cup? Where
Yeah.
is that? How do I detour to get to that?
Mm-hmm.
What is it? What's my full
Yeah.
cup?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, a lot of you know what really irks you.
Hmm.
A lot of you know that. We talk about pet peeves, and a pet peeve can really get us. And
Hmm.
you know, maybe we're just realistic about it. That thing is always going to irritate me, and why can't I just laugh about it and be like, "Yep, I don't know why, it just gets to me, but I'm not going to let it take over my day. I'm just going to laugh about it." Like, ugh, here it goes again. Meredith is, how do we prepare ourselves for the things that we know bother us and set us off?
Yeah.
And it could be as simple as like recognizing too that anger is typically the first response for most of us.
Hmm.
Why? Because it's many different reasons, but it also has been in some ways socially acceptable, and it's the thing that we've been shown. And a lot of times therapists will say, psychologists will say, anger is a first emotion. And what is the second emotion? Typically we come out of anger because that's the fear. That's what matches it. But what's
Yeah.
underneath it? Sadness, depression, disappointment. Could go on and on. Sometimes if I recognize what the emotion really is, anger's letting us know that something is not right. But if I can identify that in my second step after I recognize what's happening somatically, if I can say, "Oh, I'm really feeling sad actually," then I know how to respond to the situation.
Yeah.
So there's a lot here, like you said, Wendolyn, but I know that we have given you many different ways to think about this today. So this is a mindset shift for a lot of us. And let's just say, Wendolyn, you and I practice this. Yeah, we have to. This is a human condition.
Yeah.
We can train ourselves to do this, guys. So
Hmm.
sometimes the first step is just the recognition that we have options.
Yeah.
You know what, Meredith? You know what, Wendolyn? You're right. We have options. And I no longer am going to let these things ruin my relationship with X. I'm not going to let this thing ruin a holiday. I don't have to go to this dinner anymore. I don't have to go to this work event. It's it's optional. Why do I put myself in that position? Right?
Yeah.
So start evaluating the different places of your
Yeah.
life that you notice this pattern of like the frustration or the anger. Maybe that's a place to start. We would love to hear from you of what you're working on with your 1% and share that with us on any of our social media platforms. We really want to have these conversations with you. And Wendolyn and I have something exciting to share that in a few months, we're going to be opening up one time a month to you. And we're going to do a Zoom sort of meet and greet, ask us whatever you'd like, talk about our podcast. We want to just get together and see how this is working for you. What are you getting out of it? What more would you like? Also, just the silliness of it. If you have any questions for us, you want us to follow up on any of our stories, we'll be happy to do that. So look out for that in our social media, and on here we'll also tell you when that's going to be, but it'll be probably closer to August or September. So you just have these things that are going to be coming up, and because you're very important to us, we are so happy to do this, and we hear from you weekly, daily even. We get feedback, and it's so wonderful to hear. But I think it would be great for all of us to join together and just see the community around us and how all of you are taking in what we're doing here in our free therapy sessions and, how it's working for you.
Good time. Yeah, that's an exciting thing. I'm excited to develop more of that with you, Meredith, and figure out how that's going to look. And we'll let you guys know more about that. So thank you guys for joining us again for another episode of Simply 1%. And I hope that you're walking away from this feeling encouraged, feeling some gratitude.
Thanks for joining us on Simply 1%, where we truly believe that small shifts over time create big change. If today's episode resonated with you, we'd love for you to follow or subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who might need it. Your support helps us keep the conversation going. Make sure you connect with us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Until next time, have a great week.